بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على خير الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبي إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. Distinguished guests, brothers, sisters, dear viewers at home, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening here in the UK and probably some other countries as well. Brothers and sisters, and welcome to Imam Hussein Charity's unique fundraising program exclusively live on Imam Hussein TV 3. And our theme for tonight is courage in the face of tyranny, as we explore the many life lessons of Sayeda Zainab alayhi salam and bring it into our lives today. My name is Ali Fadl, your host for tonight's show. And on the agenda today, we discuss the many campaigns Imam Hussein Charity currently have and are launching to give you the opportunity to get involved in amazing and beneficial acts of charity. We're also discussing the ongoing plight of Shias across the world as Shia genocide continues to go unnoticed. But we're dedicating a good portion of the show listening to harrowing first-hand accounts of this genocide and our responsibilities towards our Shia brothers and sisters. We also want you to get involved to win an exclusive chance to visit Imam Hussein alayhi salam in a fantastic giveaway organised by Imam Hussein Charity and our esteemed partners. More details on that throughout the show. Now, if you've just joined and are wondering who are Imam Hussein Charity, what do we do? Well, our mission is to build a better world by providing aid, support and resources to the poor and needy globally, with a special focus in Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan and various regions in Africa. Now, we strive to improve the quality of life, empower communities and promote harmony through our work. We're committed to ensuring that people have access to the resources they need to build a brighter future. Now, speaking of access to resources, we're delighted to launch this year's Winter Appeal. And the focus, brothers and sisters, is Afghanistan.
An extreme cold front also affecting Afghanistan. More than 150 people have died over the past 2 weeks amid a harsh winter.
Now, the onset of a harsh winter in Afghanistan is deepening the humanitarian crisis there from severe malnourishment.
It's the coldest winter to hit Afghanistan in 15 years, with temperatures dropping to minus 34 degrees Celsius.
They are alive, but unable to keep the cold at bay.
Most foreign aid has been suspended since the Taliban returned to power in 2021.
In Afghanistan, millions will die within weeks if the international community doesn't help.
It is as bad as you possibly can imagine. In fact, we're now looking at the worst humanitarian crisis.
The weather is so cold. Recently, 2 of my children died. We don't have enough to heat the room.
It gets so cold, you can't see the road, you can't walk, and the heaters in cars don't work.
That's right, brothers and sisters, dear viewers. An astonishing 300,000 children are affected every year when winter arrives in Afghanistan. Many children will be fighting illnesses like the cold, influenza, pneumonia, and worst case, death. Temperatures in Afghanistan can reach below freezing, and with inadequate insulation, poor heating, and poverty, many people struggle during the cold season. Coal, oil and timber for fires is a high and expensive necessity for most families. So, Imam Hussein Charity will be helping struggling families in Herat, Afghanistan, by providing coal for them to burn and keep warm this winter. Now a word from our dear friend Muhammad Fahim Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. As we enter the depths of winter, back home in Afghanistan, the temperature is below freezing. Our brothers and sisters are suffering. While millions struggle to cope with the harsh winter, some innocent lives don't make it to the new year. Survival for families can be as simple as keeping their homes warm. At Imam Hussein Charity, We aim to provide heating fuel for an entire household. With just $150 or 135 British pounds, we can supply enough coal to burn throughout the winter months. It only takes a minute to make an impact that can last a lifetime. Donate today to protect thousands of people from the brutal cold. Visit www.imamhusseincharity.com. Thank you very much.
Many thanks to Fahim Akbar for that insight into Imam Hussein Charity's new, we had one last year, but the new Afghanistan winter campaign. And the great news is that at home you can keep, I guess, families warm over the winter months by providing coal to heat their homes, hence the campaign, Heat a Home. Since coal is a highly expensive commodity, it's very difficult for these people affected to be able to afford these necessities to heat their homes. And the great news is, as Mohammed Fahim Akbar put it, is that for only £135, that's £135, you're able to cover the cost of coal for an entire 3 months, which is outstanding. Now, for those of us living in luxury of our heated homes, a few clicks of a button or a dial turn and our homes are heated and comfortable within minutes. Now, but can you imagine the feeling of desperation if your children were to tell you they're cold and you can't do anything about it? Now, can you imagine the feeling of despair, not knowing if you or your children will survive the freezing night? Yes, there is hope that you merciful people contribute. Yet, no matter how much we raise, there's always a need for more to help those in desperate situations.
My name is Sarah, and I live in the UK with my dad. I don't need to worry about the cold outside.
Western support has led to soaring unemployment, with many unable to feed their families or even to heat them.
But it upsets me to see children in Afghanistan suffering during the winter. I want to make them happy. Let's remind them they are not alone.
Women barred from work and education have lost another fundamental right.
Let's share the warmth with families in Afghanistan who have no means of heating by donating today. Bring a smile to an innocent child. Visit www.imamhusseincharity.com.
Welcome back. The Afghanistan Winter Campaign is just one of the many campaigns the charity is proud to work on. So I'm delighted to introduce Fundraising and Events Manager Sumaya Hussein on the show to discuss more about Imam Hussein Charity's fantastic initiative. Sumaya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Fantastic, brilliant. Look, firstly, we've seen a couple of videos on the Afghanistan Winter Campaign, Heat a Home.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about the project.
So we, as you were mentioning before, we were trying to bring coal to these families. Last year it got to roughly around minus 30 degrees Celsius. And for people like us, we don't even realise that we have central heating. It's like, oh, let's just pop the heating on, put the kettle on. And we don't even necessarily understand. But some of these people, hundreds of families are freezing in the cold, hundreds of children are freezing in the cold. And a lot of these families, I don't know if you can see, but they don't have roofs over their homes.
Yeah, they don't.
So not only are they cold from around the four walls, but there's nothing to prect them, to shelter them.
Yeah. And it snows a lot, doesn't it? I think not in this footage, but I've seen videos, and we've also seen some news articles, news pieces about the amount of snow that comes at minus 30 degrees.
Yeah, up to minus 30. It was insane. I was just reading through these articles, and you don't realise how much you take for granted. So our aim this year is to get as many homes heated as possible, and the way to do that, the quickest way to do that, is coal. And these coal packets can last for the whole 3 months, for the whole winter, which is exactly what we want, because we don't want people to run out. So that's why donations are really key. They're really, really important because we sit at home watching these in our warm houses with our socks and our hot water bottles and all this sort of stuff. And these families have no access to any of that. And I mean, if you think about it, we're just in November. So there's still December, January and February to go.
Wow.
Which is a long time when you're freezing.
And in terms of the coal itself, you've seen from last year's campaign, it lasts them the whole 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, there's bags roughly around that tall, which is, for us, it means nothing. But for people, it means, for the people in Afghanistan, it means heat for 3 months.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, you were going to say?
No, I think we don't realise how far that goes, because something as simple as keeping warm can actually save a life.
I know that your role here within the charity, has it been a year now? Or?
Coming up to a year, actually.
Coming up to a year. So
Ramadan,
do you, you might not know this because obviously with Ramadan, I don't think you were here when this campaign probably started last year, but do you have any kind of figures or facts in terms of how many bags of coal were distributed?
Off the top of my head.
It doesn't matter if you don't, because I've seen some videos where there's like truck full of these bags that our partners Misbah Al Hussein have been giving out, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you any facts and figures off the top of my head, but when we look at these videos, the ground is just covered in bags of coal. I was sifting through quite a few of them, trying to sort of figure out what we could do for behind the scenes promos and footage and all that stuff. And just looking at the sheer volume of coal there is for these people, it's more than I can even think of. Considering
the weather conditions, how easy or difficult is it to get the coal to the places that need it the most? Again, quite difficult.
I can, because I'm not on the ground, it's a bit difficult to kind of sort of navigate that, but I can imagine that it would be quite difficult. But thankfully, alhamdulillah, we have our partners Misbah Al Hussein on the ground in Afghanistan. So a lot of that kind of comes internally. So we raise the money, they go out and they purchase it, and then they distribute it as and where they see necessary.
So if people wanted to get involved right here, right now, what would they need to do?
Donate, because we need to build up these donations so that our partners can go out and purchase this coal for these people. That's the key thing that we need.
And in terms of, I think that there might be a Sadaqah app or a website or a QR code.
Yeah. We have a Sadaqah app. We recently relaunched our Sadaqah app. On there, we keep all our up-to-date campaigns. We have our winter appeal. We've got the Shia genocide appeal coming up, as well as the general donation, general Sadaqah that you can donate to. So wherever you are on the leaflet or whatever, scan QR codes and it will take you straight to the app.
So talking about, I guess, Imam Hussein Charity's overall campaigns over the next couple of months, what's on the horizon that we can keep an eye out?
So, of course, very excited to announce Ramadan coming up. So we are in talks about which campaigns we're going to do. Last year we obviously had the Ramadan food pack initiative. So, I mean, we're looking to sort of continue doing sort of things similar to that, but you know, it is still, talks are still kind of happening, so we need to figure that out. But at the moment, we've got the Shia genocide campaign running, and
which we're going to talk about hopefully later on in the show.
And the winter appeal running. So that's going to run all the way up until February, I believe. But again, dependent on the weather. So that one's very sort of up in the air, but that's what we've got so far.
Fantastic. So obviously you're very much in touch with things like Bridging Hearts and Prophetic Voyage. Do you know anything about those at the moment, or is that
the Bridging Hearts
more for me to explain later?
Well, I can let you explain the Prophetic Voyage, but the Bridging Hearts I love. I think it's such a great initiative. It's basically, I'm very excited to talk about this.
Yeah, tell me.
Basically, a young child in the UK can write a letter to a young child in Iraq. So in that letter you can talk about what you'd say to Imam Mahdi when he comes, what your hopes and dreams are, and just communicate with someone that you don't see ever, you know. And it's such a great opportunity to get these young kids integrated. I wish that I had something like that growing up as well, because I would have loved to speak to somebody on the other side of the world that has a completely different viewpoint of life.
And I think, especially for these orphans who think that, you know, their plight, their situation, they're alone in the world, and they're suffering, I guess, in silence. However, it must be very heartwarming for them to feel like actually people from the outside are in touch with them, and they are aware of their situation and want to help.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it must be such a, you know, like you said, a heartwarming thing to know that there are people that don't see you, don't know you, are actively trying to help you and want to reach out and say hello and kind of explain that they're doing their best to help you. So it's really nice, and I think it gets kids in the UK as well. It gives them a bit of perspective, because I feel like we grow up in a world where we're surrounded by technology, we're surrounded by luxury, all this sort of stuff, and sometimes we forget that actually, unless you go and visit or unless you see those adverts on TV about children, you forget that not all children have the same access to luxuries as you do.
No, they don't, no. Okay. So just, I guess, wrapping things up, in terms of the life of Sayeda Zainab alayhi salam, we know that there are a couple of milestones in her life, but it's always really associated with tragedy and calamities. But there must be in her life a few instances where charity and giving is something that happened in her life. Could you possibly share a few stories or instances where Lady Zainab was shown to be a bit caring in terms of charity or giving or sacrifice?
Yeah, I think firstly, I think we all sort of are under somewhat of a misconception that charity is giving money constantly. Okay. Sometimes it's not giving money, sometimes it's giving love. Okay. Sometimes it's giving a smile, sometimes it's kind of giving just compassion. Wow. And you see that...
Because it took me away from the typical way of looking at charity. And actually, I think there's a narration from the Prophet that says smiling in the face of a believer is charity, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm paraphrasing.
Something like that, But then when you look at the life of Sayeda Zainab, and Karbala springs to mind, of course, but there are so many lessons, and every time I sit in a majalis, I learn something new. And she was the mother to these orphans in Karbala. She was an advocate for justice in the palace of Yazid. She was someone who helped the needy mothers who were unable to deal with their grief. So when we look at things like how she acted with her orphans in her family, I immediately go to the sponsor the orphan campaign. So you don't necessarily, you can emulate these personalities through your own way of charity. So we have the sponsor the orphan campaign that runs 365 days a year, which the viewers at home can definitely get involved in. And you know, I think it's really nice to do that in honor of Sayeda Zainab. Fantastic. So that I think is my...
That's a very, very pleasant interview. It's a really, really nice way to think about it as well. So look, fundraising and events manager Imam Hussein, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem at all. We're going to go on a short break. After the break, we're going to introduce a bit more initiatives, and then we're going to talk Shia genocide with our second guest of tonight.
Herat, Afghanistan. In a dimly lit room, a young mother despairingly kindles a lantern. Casting a warm, flickering glow across the room, her eager children await their first meal. With her limited supply of food, she prepares a simple dinner for her family. Hope, unity, and love in the face of adversity fill the air as they gather together in this fleeting moment, unaware of what tomorrow will bring.
Welcome back, dear viewers of Imam Hussein TV 3. If you've just joined us, you're watching Imam Hussein Charity's fundraising campaign looking at the Afghanistan Winter Appeal, amongst other campaigns. We are regularly coming on the channel in order to tell you about some of the fantastic initiatives of Imam Hussein Charity. And one of them that Sister Sumayna just mentioned is Bridging Hearts. Sharing hope, bridging hearts. Reach out to young orphaned Iraqi children through art and words. Now, thousands of young orphan children across Iraq are lonely and have nowhere to go. So Imam Hussein Charity is giving your children the chance to write a letter to these young orphans, asking them all about their hopes and dreams and what they want to do in the future. You can help teach your children about the importance of kindness, love and respect, and give them the chance to write to someone that they wouldn't usually talk to. All you have to do is donate towards the cause, download our letter template and get writing. We will take care of the rest, inshallah. Now, making sure that you do send in your letters to our office by about early December. We'll send your letter to the children along with a small gift. Now would be a good time to tell you about our special giveaway. So as I mentioned earlier in the show, Imam Hussein Charity have partnered with Imam Hussein Tours to provide you with the opportunity to visit the Imams of Iraq. All you have to do is first and foremost make a donation of £35 towards Imam Hussein Charity's Afghanistan Winter Appeal. Then get to social media, because you need to follow Imam Hussein Charity and Imam Hussein Tours. Share your story and tag 3 people in the post. And the winner will be announced next Wednesday, inshallah. That would be, inshallah, the initiative that you would need to go through. Now, in terms of donating for today, once again, we have launched our campaign. It will be running over the next 3 months. The Afghanistan Winter Appeal is a massively important initiative and a campaign that Afghanistan, which reaches temperatures less than 30 degrees centigrade, right? It's freezing conditions. All you have to do is pay £135. That's £135. You know, putting that into context, I don't know, 2 meals, maybe 2 family meals, maybe even 1 family meal, depending on the cost of living these days. But in any case, it's just £135. Then you have the ability to heat a home for 3 months by providing coal, an important necessity, a commodity that is very difficult to get a hold of in Afghanistan, getting them to the right areas so inshallah they are able to benefit. Now, moving on, the unfortunate Shia genocide occurring around the world is a deeply troubling and often overlooked tragedy that has left a scar on the hearts of its victims and their families. Regions like Quetta, Parchana, Hazara has witnessed a series of violent attacks and massacres in recent years. The perpetrators of these atrocities, often motivated by sectarian hatred, have targeted innocent Shia Muslims with brutal efficiency, leaving countless lives shattered and communities in mourning. In a special interview, we're grateful to have teacher and writer Maliha Ilyas from Toronto, Canada. Maliha, can you first and foremost hear me?
Assalamu alaikum, Ali. Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, thank you so much for joining the show. First and foremost, I wanted to kind of start by asking about your early life in Pakistan. What was your childhood like, Maliha?
In Pakistan, well, I lived a very privileged childhood, but throughout my childhood, there was always this feeling that something is just not right, you know. I mean, when you are in school and some of your Islamic studies teachers say things like, there's no such thing as mushkil kusha, there's no such thing as hajat rawa, and, you know, telling you that you guys consider anyone an imam, things like that, you know, and even some of my own Islamic studies teachers blatantly saying that Shias are kafirs and they should be killed. It just makes you question, oh, what is happening, you know?
Okay, so moving on from that, can you talk to us about any specific experiences or events that were particularly difficult for you and your family growing up?
There's actually a lot, but I have actually lost my uncle to Shia genocide. He was shot dead when he was peacefully protesting against Pakistan's Zia regime's treatment of Shias. So that's when he was shot dead, and he left behind a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old. Another thing as well, it was this was in Ashura 2004, and I'm sorry if I get emotional about this, but this was something that I remember firsthand, that you know, my brother was at a procession in Ashura 2004. This happened in Quetta, and that's when an attack happened at one of the julus, or the procession, if you will. There was a suicide bomber, and the terrorists were hiding upstairs in the buildings. And then when the suicide bomber blew himself up, that's when the firing started. And when you receive that news that this is what happened, and then the first thing that comes into your mind was, oh, but my brother is there, and you don't even know if your brother is alive or not. It does take a toll on your mental health. It does. And you have to wait for a few hours to wait and see if he comes, if he comes alive or not. You know, how do I say this? Like, Alhamdulillah, I was fortunate because my brother was alive and he was well. But when I went out the streets, I saw women. They were fainting, they were hitting themselves, they were, you know, because for most of these women, their brothers, their sons, their fathers, they didn't come alive. I mean, they didn't come back alive. And I mean, this is something that unfortunately, Ali, I always say that people only remember the Holocaust, but no one really knows about the Shias and how we have been living from Holocaust to Holocaust to Holocaust for centuries. And it's about time that the world knows about us, and it's about time that we speak up. We need to stop living in fear that, oh no, but we are Shias, who's going to listen to us? Why?
In terms of the actual term Shia genocide, what does that mean to you personally?
That means that you get to have your blood shed only because you are Shia. For no reason. Only because you are Shia. You're a Shia, you die. And that to me also means the silence of the world as we are being killed, as we are being mercilessly butchered, as we are being mercilessly slaughtered.
Okay, moving to Canada. Actually, before you moved, sorry, not to Canada, but before you moved out of Pakistan, did you ever? Was there a situation where you faced discrimination, hatred, maybe a threat to your life personally?
All the time, Ali, all the time. And it's not just me, it's every Shia that's living there right now, and especially the Hazaras.
Tell me a bit more.
Sorry?
Tell me a bit more about the Hazara Shias. What do they go through?
The Hazara, it's like, if I could put it in simple words, whenever we leave our houses, and then when we come back alive, the thing that we say to each other is, okay, today I am safe.
SubhanAllah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is how it is. When you leave your house, there is no guarantee that you're going to come back in pieces or not.
And so what do what impact would spreading awareness of the Shia Hazaras really have on their situation? So the question is, so what if we start to tweet about it or put it on Insta stories, or, what's that going to do for their situation?
At least create awareness. That's the first thing I would say. That's the first thing that I would say. And myself being a Hazara, I meet some people from Pakistan that don't even know who the Hazaras are, that don't even know about the Hazara genocide, and that to me is really shocking. That okay, we are being killed in thousands, if not millions. Why isn't anyone talking about it? Why is it that we have to live that we have to die the silent death?
Right. So what do you expect from the international community then, other than just awareness? What could make a lasting change?
What can make a lasting change? Don't ignore us, and at least give us a safe space that we can call a temporary house. For instance, you look at the most recent expulsion of Afghans from Pakistan right now,
Yeah.
right? How many of them are Shia Hazaras? What are they going back to? They're literally going back into the slaughterhouse, and the world is just watching.
Mm. And is the situation different from Hazaras to Quetta to Parchana, or is it more or less the same?
It's more or less the same. Yes, it's more or less the same. In a sense that we are continuously getting killed, and the government just watches. The world just watches.
Why is the government just watching?
Because we're Shias.
There must be a bit more. There must be a bit more to it, because they won't openly and brazenly say, "Oh, because they're Shia, we're killing them." There must be a bit more to it.
I think that in Pakistan, and I cannot speak for Afghanistan because I've only lived in Pakistan. In Pakistan, the very fact that you are a Shia and the very fact that you are a Shia Hazara, that automatically makes you a second-class citizen. And I'll give you this as an example that, you know, in the past, whenever there have been, whenever I, during my time in Pakistan, whenever there would be a terrorist attack, you know, the government would just issue a statement and say, "Oh, we are very sad about what happened, and all the families will be getting this much money as compensation. Chapter closed. Move on." None of the terrorists were ever captured or anything. So,
Right. So recently in the news, Maliha, you know, we've heard of Afghans being expelled from Pakistan. What are your thoughts on this?
my thoughts are that the government should focus more on the corruption in the country that is eating the country alive like a termite than focus on some innocent Afghans that just want to make a living in Pakistan. So if you really want to fight the problem, fight the corruption. Don't fight the Afghans who are just working in little shops to make ends meet. If you really care about Pakistan, worry about the people that are currently in the parliament right now.
Right. So on a personal note, Maliha, what personal initiatives are you working on to bring light to the situation of the Hazaras and actually overall Shia genocide?
Well, I myself so I currently work as a teacher at a public school board in Canada.
Yeah.
What I am doing is so something that I have done in the most recent years is create organizing a webinar on Shia genocide, where I actually invited two Shia scholars to my school board. This was actually the first ever in all of Canada at a Canadian public school board. So we had a webinar where they came and they spoke to the human rights department of my school board about Shia genocide and how we can make our teaching practices and our policies more inclusive towards our Shia population. And something else that I do as well is, just because I teach French, is include what is happening into my lessons. So, for example, okay, let us talk about what is happening around the world. Why must, like, as a French teacher, why must I only focus on the Eiffel Tower? You know, there's more to the French language. So then, okay, how can I create awareness about what is happening in the world through the French language? This is what I do.
Right.
And inshallah, in the upcoming April, in April 2024, we observe the Genocide Awareness Month. Inshallah, I'm hoping to host an assembly on Shia genocide and talk about Hazara genocide on it as well.
Fantastic. Moving back to Afghanistan, Maliha, if it's possible, and specifically relating to our winter appeal, I'm not sure if it's also relatable to Pakistan. Forgive me if I'm wrong. How harsh are the winters in Afghanistan and that region? Do you know what the conditions are like?
Well, I'm from Quetta, and Quetta is very, very close to Afghanistan. I can speak about the winter situation, the winter in Quetta, and I don't imagine it being too different um, in Afghanistan, considering that how geographically they're both very close. It's very harsh. It's very harsh. There is no proper internal heating system like how we have here in Canada or how you folks have there in the UK. Um, the pipes burst very easily, and hot water is not a very common commodity.
Yeah.
So it is very harsh. And might I add something, Ali, that I just remembered this. I remember this was in 2003. There was a terrorist attack in on July the 4th, 2003, in at a Shia mosque. At a Shia mosque, yes, I remember that. I lost a distant family member to it. Um, and I remember, and there was like, of course, the Hazara people. We talk about, oh my goodness, what happened and what's going to happen next. And I remember someone specific. There was a young man, and he specifically said that I wish I can die as a shaheed too, so that my family can get some money in return to sustain themselves. So this is the mentality there.
Speaking of Shaheed, we are speaking about or remembering Sayeda Zainab alayhi salam, and I feel like from your personal stories you can relate to losing family members. How do we bring Sayeda Zainab's story, situation into our day, into our current day, and take courage from Sayeda Zainab to be able to deal with these atrocities?
I would say, well, at least I myself, and I can speak for myself, what I do is, I imagine her how she was in the court of Yazid. She had lost everything, but she still stood firm, and she was the one that who literally shook the Umayyad dynasty. So if she chose to stand up against tyranny, given her situation, then why should we be quiet? Why should I be quiet?
Yeah.
So it's her bravery that I myself personally, I'm Malihe Ilyas. It's her bravery that I bring into my work, that I bring into my life.
Yeah. Why do you think, just actually on that point of Shia genocide as well, bringing Sayeda Zainab, especially when it comes to standing up and why should I be quiet? Has anyone in your experience ever told you, look, don't worry about Shia genocide, it's not that big, it's not that large?
So many times.
Why?
So many times. I'm sorry?
Why? Why do they ask you to do that?
I imagine that they said that because they don't want to. Maybe again, this is just me as assuming because I never asked them why, or and they never told me why. But from their tone, I would assume that it's because they want to paint this rosy picture that we are all one unified Islam, and yeah.
Right. I know this has been quite a painful interview for you, and I really do appreciate. And it's difficult to talk about your personal experiences, especially since you have lost loved ones. But if we speak directly now to the viewers and the audience, who we are asking them actually to contribute financially in order to bring aid to those that have been affected by Shia genocide, either in Quetta or Parchanar or Hazara. What can you say to them look, they also need some finances, some financial aid, some help to help their situation? What would you say to them?
I would say, please donate. I would say, please donate. I myself, personally, I will make a donation myself once this program ends. And I would appreciate it if you folks can donate too, please, because it's one thing to see your family members die. It's one thing to visit their graves knowing that this is how they died, and then it's another thing to try to survive and especially in harsh winters in countries where heat is not a common commodity.
Well, Maliha Ilyas, many thanks for your time and your dedication, and I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to alleviate the troubles and the difficulties on yourself and your family members. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So that was writer and teacher Maliha Ilyas coming to us live from Toronto in Canada. We thank her for her time. Inshallah, we will continue the program in the limited time that we have next after the break. Welcome back, dear viewers of Imam Hussein TV3. If you're joining us just now, you're watching Imam Hussein Charities' unique fundraising campaign, where we are talking about different projects in order to bring contributions towards certain campaigns that are very important and also very painful as well. You might have seen on your screen that some of the campaigns that we are hoping to bring some donations to are two things: the Afghanistan winter campaign, Heat to Home, but also Shia genocide. And as Sister Maliha mentioned in her very painful interview, that not only do they have to cope with harsh winter conditions, but they also are under siege and are persecuted just for being Shia. In one of the, and I quote her, she mentioned that if they leave the house, they don't know whether they're going to be coming back. I remember hearing these stories from my auntie back when she was in Baghdad, and it was a very difficult situation back in 2004, 2005, 2006, when the sectarian violence in Iraq was unbelievable. Like, that's when I heard personally. So this is why I can relate to what Maliha was saying personally, because I know from my auntie's perspective, literally my mother's sister, she was telling me in Baghdad during those days that you were killed based on your identity, your ID. You were killed based on your ID. They'd stop you in the middle of the road, they take your ID and they see if you have a name called Ali, Hassan, Hussein, Ja'far, Sadiq, Jawad, Hadi, all of these names, they'd kill you straight away. There was no room for maneuver. There's no room to explain. There is nothing. They would kill you. And that's why I feel like I really connected with what Maliha was saying, because she's saying that, her family members, her relatives, her cousins, her friends would leave the house not knowing if they were going to come back. Actually, my auntie said to me, like, I used to send my children off to school and tell them the Shahada, tell them to recite the Shahada. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah wa ashhadu anna waliyullah Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I tell them to do the Shahada. So not only are they dealing with very harsh winter conditions, but they're also dealing with the fact that they could literally be killed at any given time. And so we're asking you, dear viewers, if you have any, of course you have mercy, you have love, you have affection, you have devotion to the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Fantastically for us to hear that. But we're asking you today to be able to contribute. And by contributing, you could do two things. Number one, either go onto the QR code, which is on the screen somewhere, or call our numbers to be able to donate. When you're donating, you can, as I mentioned, going through either the QR code, or you can download the Sadaqah app. The Sadaqah app is a very simple, quick way for you to choose the campaign that you want to contribute to and then make that contribution. Right? It's £135 to Heat to Home, but also the Shia Genocide Aid is £50. Altogether, it's about £185 that you can do 2 amazing acts of mercy today, amazing acts of worship today, right here, right now. Just £185, where you're going to heat a home for 3 months and also aid someone who's been affected by Shia genocide, right? Which is hopefully very, very beneficial for you and for me as well. So, moving on, in terms of the campaigns of Imam Hussein Charity, I'm delighted to have teamed up, me personally, I'm delighted to have teamed up with Imam Hussein Charity to give our young viewers a unique storytelling session. Now, I come straight to your Husseiniyah or your local community performing an interactive story about the prophets. It's a great adventure where I am to also transport our youth through the holy and majestic Quran, allowing the young children to learn, lessons of the holy prophets through the blessed Quran. Now, the way it works is very, very simple. All you have to do, if you are in England, the cost of the show is £300 with no added transport fees within the M25. You can read the website for further details if you are outside the M25 area. I've done a couple of these sessions already and they have been received very, very well. It's a very interactive way where I speak directly to the children, going through, for example, Prophet Adam and a storytelling session there, Prophet Adam, Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Yunus, Prophet Yusuf, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All of these prophets, it's a storytelling session. It's a very unique way for them to be able to benefit from learning about the holy prophets. In other words, or in other news about campaigns of IHC or Imam Hussein Charity, if you're in London, Imam Hussein Charity has partnered with City APSOC, that's City Ahlul Bayt Society, to give you a unique event with Dr. Sayyid Ammar al-Naqshwani. Although the event is tomorrow, you're able to, I believe, still get some tickets or be on the waiting list for that. Other than that, guys, just to give you a very, very quick reminder of some of the campaigns. Shia genocide, you're able to donate today. And also a quick reminder of the giveaway. So Imam Hussein Charity has partnered with Imam Hussein Tours in order to give you the opportunity to win a ground package ziyarah to the land of Iraq, where you're able to visit the Imams of Iraq. All you need to do is follow those 2 accounts and then repost, but also comment on their picture, on their post, and tag 3 people, and then reshare that. Once you've reshared it, you'll go into a draw to be able to find out if you have won. So far, I think there's been about a lot of interest. I think the previous one that they had probably had about, last time I checked, was 1,436 either comments or likes or something along those lines. So it's very, very popular. However, it's one thing that you're able to win, a ziyarah package, inshallah. A quick reminder to the dear viewers of Imam Hussein Charity, that our Afghanistan winter appeal this year, Heat a Home, because Afghanistan's harsh winter months brings with them a host of daunting challenges for the Afghan population. With freezing temperatures, heavy snowfall, and limited access to basic necessities, many Afghans struggle to stay warm and secure. The lack of adequate shelter and heating infrastructure poses a significant threat to their well-being, particularly for internally displaced people and those living in remote mountainous regions. Furthermore, and as I mentioned with Sister Sumayya, what I understand is that winter often disrupts the transportation routes and exacerbates food and fuel shortages, making it difficult for people to access essential goods and services. This harsh season compounds the already dire humanitarian situation in Afghanistan, adding to the plight of a population grappling with ongoing political instability and conflict. In recent weeks, Afghanistan has been hit, I think it was last month actually, it's been hit with major earthquakes, further condemning the population to shortages, famine, and extreme poverty. We personally have filmed the situation on the ground together with our partners in the region to show you just how dire their situation really was. And you can see some of that footage on your screen. But we've also been able to get first-hand accounts as to what these people need in order to heat their homes. And in all honesty, It genuinely is £135, brothers and sisters. £135, you're able to heat a home, like this one that you see on your screen, if we can get the technicians to show it, like this on this screen, but instead of paper and cardboard, you can give them coal that they can burn so that they can heat their homes for 3 months across the winter period. It is an absolutely amazing feeling for a mother, for a father, for a family who have to cover in what little means that they have, cover themselves. And again, I've seen some footage, I'm not sure we're able to show it, but I've seen some footage of mothers having to cover their children with sajadas, prayer mats, for example, or one loose scarf that they have. And the kid comes up and says, look, Mum, I'm cold. But the mum says, you know, I'm freezing too, there's nothing I can do. It's a very, very dire and a very desperate situation for them. So £135 goes a long way to helping them. It really is quite staggering that just £135 can heat a home for 3 months, which is fantastic. As we also mentioned, alongside the freezing conditions, you have literally people who have to leave their homes not knowing if they come back, all because they are Shia. So we're also raising funds of about £50 to the Shia Genocide Aid. Anyone who's been affected by Shia genocide, we try to help them and help their situation. On that note, inshallah, you've benefited from today's session. We thank once again Imam Hussein for her valuable contributions in terms of IHC, the Imam Hussein charity, and their initiatives over the next couple of months. But we also thank Maliha Elias, all the way from Toronto, Canada, for her first-hand accounts of losing loved ones due to Shia genocide and our responsibility of creating awareness for this cause. On that note, inshallah, you've benefited. Inshallah, we'll see you in later shows of Imam Hussein Charity. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When I feel all alone and my heart needs to heal, and all hope from me is gone, and this life seems so real.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين نشکره و نستعینه. خداوند را سپاسگزارم توفیق عنایت فرمود مرحله دوم توزیع زغال سنگ را برای مردم فقیر و بی‌بضاعت و ایتام داشته باشیم و به تعداد 550 خانواده فقیر و بی‌بضاعت و ایتام به مقدار 110 تن زغال سنگ را که سفره زمستانی می باشد امروز توزیع داریم و این کاری نیکو و نیکوکارانه با همکاری مؤسسه خیریه مصباح حسین علیه السلام و مؤسسه خیریه EHC صورت گرفته است و از این سروران عزیز و مکرم نهایت تقدیر و تشکر را دارم، مخصوصا از سرور معزز و مکرم جناب حجت الاسلام المسلمین آقای شیخ مصطفی محمدی که به نهایت زحمت کشید، نه تنها این بار، سالهای قبل همکاری با ما بودن، واقعا دلسوز به جامعه مظلوم افغانستان هستند. ما از تلاششان، از زحماتشان نهایت تقدیر و تشکر را داریم و خداوند بر توفیقات بیش از پیش ارزانی بدارد و زمینه کار و زمینه و بستر کار برای ما هم باشند که تا بتوانیم یک پول ارتباطی بین جامعه محروم افغانستان و این اشخاص خیر و نیکوکار باشیم. در خاتمه عرض بشود که مرحله دوم توزیع زغال سنگ توسط دفتر حضرت آیت الله العظمی الحاج سید صادق حسینی شیرازی در شهر مزار شریف افغانستان صورت گرفته است که انشاءالله خداوند از بانیان این امر خیر به کرمش به احسن وجه قبول بفرماید. انشاءالله که موفق و مؤید باشند. سلام علیکم و رحمت الله و برکاته.
All my years, so to you I'll confess all my sins. So I'll raise raise my hands high, my head bowed, shedding tears, and I know as I cry, it begins. Oh Allah, I knew you'd answer. I see light now, you're my guide. I'll hold on to hope, my master. With you I don't need to hide. Oh Allah, I knew you'd answer. I'll be thankful every day. I'll hold on to hope, my master, as I rest